Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 21st of November. I'm going to outline what we can collectively expect this week, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail each of the signs from Aries through to Pisces, which you can watch from the perspective of your sun or your ascendant if they are different. Now, as this week begins, Mars and Pluto end a really difficult, tense relationship which began on the 11th of October. This may not be particularly perceptible, but of course Mars is in the sign of Gemini, which is very much about strident opinions. It's in retrograde now, and it is being drained by the very dreamy, drifting and watery vibe of Neptune, and that does continue all this week. But Mars and Pluto are the two rulers of Scorpio, so there's been a huge amount of intensity washing around our situations. And the great news is that as we come into this week, on Tuesday, the Sun arrives in the sign of Sagittarius, where it joins up with Venus and Mercury that relocated last week. So it really is a case of a Sagittarius season. But of course, the sign of Sagittarius is very much about expansion, optimism, positivity, travel, higher education. It can be to do with international boundaries. And we do have a new moon which occurs on Wednesday. And this new moon is going to be squaring up the ruler of the sign of Sagittarius, Jupiter, which is in the other sign it governs of Pisces, but has been in a retrograde. Now that goes direct later on the day of the new moon, which is something to really celebrate. So through to the 20th of December, Jupiter is going to be making its way through the sign of Pisces, and then it moves back into the sign of Aries. If you would like to check out this Jupiter transition, please look out for my special deep dive video, which you can see in the links beneath this video. But this energy, this exuberance that Jupiter brings through its rulership of Sagittarius and Pisces, but because Jupiter is in a right angle, despite it coming to the end of its retrograde, does mean I feel that because the Sun, Mercury and Venus are in house 9 for us all, that's very much about the amplification of energy, whereas Jupiter is in house 12, very sensitive, very psychological, very much more to do with the hidden sphere. So I feel that whatever we're feeling, good or bad, it's going to feel that much more intense. But generally, I think there's going to be a much lighter and more vibrant vibe doing the rounds, which is really great. Also, Jupiter is going to be forging an extremely helpful angle with Pluto. This sextile goes through the whole of this week. And if we really want to be productive in terms of being more on the front foot, as long as we're listening to how things feel, because of Jupiter being very close to Neptune, the two rulers of the sign of Pisces, very much about that more spiritual, emotional dimension. As long as we tune into how things feel, we can use Jupiter's positivity with the productivity that Pluto brings around an appetite for change and transformation. So something can shape up in a very big and dynamic way this week. It could be that we're going to see some better news about international affairs. Let's all hope so. It's also possible that if for whatever reason in your particular locality COVID restrictions have meant mixing and mingling or moving around freely have been rather limited, I think things can free up somewhat more over the following month. And in general, this is a great opportunity to celebrate different ways of looking at life, downloading more information, becoming much more invested in facts and truth, because Jupiter at its best through its rulership of Sagittarius, is very much about that. Now, if you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast and understand what year 2023 will hold for you, please see the link beneath this video where you can order your personal forecast based on your time, date and place of birth. No two forecasts are the same. They're all absolutely individual to the data that they're prepared upon. If you order it now, you get the last part of 2022 free. And also my special package, you can also get your life roadmap or your character analysis, which will help you to understand some of the patterns that have been repeated in your life, but also help you to understand how to seize upon your talents and qualities in a much more successful way. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for joining me. If you would care to subscribe, please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. If you're already an ongoing viewer, thank you so much for all your views. So Leo, your week commencing the 21st of November forecast really has some exciting news because the Sun returns to the 5th house, which is your co-fire sign of Sagittarius. And the first 10 degrees of Sagittarius are also governed by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, which of course is the ruling planet for the overall collective energies of this sign. So I feel that this is a feel-good factor. You already have Venus and Mercury, which made their move into your 5th house last week. But because the Sun was in the 4th house, which is more reflective and potentially defensive, very much more to do with security and nurture. But now this is going to give you a lot of encouragement to be more outgoing, more engaged with others. And of course, when you're really sparkling, you can be so charismatic. And essentially, the 5th house is very much in keeping with the characteristics of your zodiac sign. So whether it is socially, whether it's romantically, whether it is in terms of expressing your talents, skills, artistry and flair, or whether it's enjoying the exploits of your children if you have them, this is a wonderful time for you to be going for it. Now, of course, Jupiter, the planet that governs the sign of Sagittarius, has been in a retrograde, but that ends also on Wednesday. It's just after the new moon, really quite late in the day in terms of universal central time, but it's still going to be in the part of your horoscope that is to do with deep transformations. And it's asking you in a more practical sense not to be too gung-ho when it comes to speculation. So we obviously see a lot about digital currencies these days, which there has been some falling valuations and even failures in that sector this year. But also we hear about other ways that people can encourage folks to make money, and that's all good. But I just feel the square between the new moon and Jupiter is saying to stay very much grounded when it comes to marshalling your longer term resources. But you can use the energy of Pluto, which has been since 2008, really encouraging you to be very systematic and efficient in all your processes. That's actually forging a great link with Jupiter all through this week. So if you analyze the details of your existing resources, there could be ways that you can squeeze out more from those by just being a bit more enterprising, because the 5th house is so tremendously enterprising. Now, of course, Mars has been in a really difficult and draining right angle with Neptune, and that does continue this week. So in terms of your friendships and money, or where you're most invested, again, proceed where you feel the signals are very clear. Where you're not getting information, or people are not really giving you much encouragement, or seem a bit mysterious or distant, then steer clear of those kind of relationships. But also, of course, Saturn and Uranus have been in that warring right angle over the last couple of years. Saturn in your sector of relating, Uranus in your sector of work and success. Now that continues this week, but we are getting towards the end of it. So that's something to really look forward to. By the 3rd of December, the energy is really going to lift as Mars and Neptune end their right angle and Saturn and Uranus end theirs within 3 degrees. So I think this is really a good news week for you, Leo. It's an opportunity for you to get on the front foot in whatever part of life really gives you pleasure and helps you to showcase you and your personality and your talents in the very best of ways, because you have a genuine opportunity this week to really sparkle.